Good. So Representative Katizo-Toon, as she is heading up to the front, moves that House File 2864 be brought before the committee. And there is an A2 author's amendment.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
It's mostly a technical amendment based upon some reorganizing some additional language and adding a few cross-references, making the bill a little bit more clear about the deposits beginning at birth instead of at kindergarten entry age.
So I'm thinking, I know there's another amendment as well. I'm just thinking this through. I'm kind of inclined to consider the A2, maybe have a discussion about the bill, and then move to the DE3. I'm not sure who's going to be offering the DE3, but is that acceptable to maybe Lee Daniels or to whoever's going to be offering that to kind of do that in that order? I feel like it's a help because that way we can sort of talk about the bill, the proposal, and then assess the D3. But Representative Hudson, are you?
So I'll defer a bit to our partisan research on this. My understanding was that the A2 was going to amend the DE, not the original bill. It is.
Just going to, so the DE.
Mr. Chair.
Let's go. So Representative Katizo-Toon.
Thank you. Yeah. So Representative Hudson, the A2 amendment is my amendment to amend the original text of the bill.
And so I think the DE3 is the one that would be offered by Representative Hudson, perhaps.
Correct.
And so I'm thinking that we'll consider the author's amendment, discuss the bill, and then when we get to discussion, then at that point you could move the DE3 if does that work for you, Representative Hudson?
It does. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, great. So then, Representative Katizo-Toon, I think you described the A2. Any further discussion or questions about the A2? So just to get the bill in the form the author wishes, all in favor of approval of the A2 amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. So the bill's amended. So Representative Katizo-Toon, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, before us today is House File 2864 as amended, the MinneKIDS Act. KIDS, as in Kids Investment and Development Savings Act. The purpose of this bill is to assist every single child in Minnesota in opening a savings account, financial education, and later upon graduation from high school, utilizing those funds that have matured for college or career training. This proposal is based on a successful pilot program led by the City of St. Paul that the state partnered with the City of St. Paul back in 2019, and you have a handout in your packets from the MinneKIDS Coalition. You'll see very positive results within the local community and just a little bit of financial support. So the data is really tremendous in that if somebody has just $500 in a savings account at graduation, they are 3 times more likely to attend college or other secondary education, and 4 times more likely to graduate. So it's really, it can really make a big difference. And you know, we know we've had, I think, a really positive conversation in this committee earlier in the session just about how important financial education is and helping folks move in that direction. But I'm happy to continue that on later on, but I just wanted to point out that data really quickly. And since we are short on time today, I would be happy now to introduce my testifiers to provide a little bit more detail on both the pilot program and then this proposal going forward.
That would be great, yeah. So Christy Snyder, I think is the first one. Yeah, come on up. Once you get settled in, please identify yourself and proceed. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Mr. Chair. My name is Christy Snyder, and I'm the director of the Twin Cities Opportunity Youth Network at Youth Prize. I'm grateful to be here today as part of a wide and committed team trying to bring MinneKIDS child savings accounts to open up to a wide variety of post-secondary options to all children in Minnesota. And I'm so grateful to you for championing this bill. MinneKIDS would collaborate with families to open up custodial accounts with a $50 seed deposit for every baby born in Minnesota and a $100 seed deposit for every baby born to a low-income family in the state, starting July 1st, 2024. This will jumpstart savings for 70,000 Minnesota babies born each year. In designing with families, we've been thoughtful of our state's goal of ensuring 70% of all Minnesotans have attained a post-secondary certificate or degree. And while with these babies, we'll have a long way to go, it's an innovative program such as these that change the trajectory of what can be achieved, both for the babies and their families. So these funds can be used for technical and vocational schools, four-year colleges and universities, higher ed and nonprofit certificate programs, all approved by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act by deed. It's important that we also include the partnership grants. This is a critical component of the element of the MinneKIDS, so that local communities can apply for grants to really shift the narrative. So they can use marketing, community engagement, programming, wraparound support, staffing for local coordination, and build up the MinneKIDS accounts with additional deposits. This is a new narrative for Minnesotans. The startup grants are for new communities, so that 50% go to the metro area, 50% to greater Minnesota, and then also for existing child savings accounts. And where Youth Prize is named as the intermediary, I know that there's been some controversy about having the named intermediaries. Whether it's us or whether it's somebody else, Youth Prize manages and regrants public and private funds, which means we shoulder a significant compliance burden and work to build the capacity and ensure that compliance of our subgrantees. We've learned a lot. We have appropriate resources currently at our organization. In fact, Youth Prize has distributed over $50 million in our tenure. We have a large compliance officers, and we currently do distribute state funds successfully. I'm so excited about MinneKIDS. I'm so excited about what it means for our state and what that means for the possibilities of our economic vitality moving forward. So thank you so much, Representative, for authoring this.
And thanks, Ms. Snyder. Thanks for your testimony. Thanks for your work. Munir Ramos is next. Please, once you sit down, identify yourself and proceed.
Mr. Chair and members, my name is Munir Ramos, and I'm the Director of the Office of Financial Empowerment with the City of St. Paul. In 2019, as our chief author mentioned, the state legislature appropriated $500,000 to the City of St. Paul to launch a pilot children's savings account program, which we call College Bound St. Paul. And for us, we were really interested in the City of St. Paul for launching a CSA because of the broad research evidence. As our chief author mentioned, again, I just want to repeat it, is that children who have anywhere between $1 and $500 in a savings account are 3 times more likely to go to college and 4 times more likely to graduate. It's less about the amount of money in the account, but that there's an account there at all. The account provides a tangible conversation between a parent and a child, a tangible account for the community to invest in, and tangible hope for the possibilities of what the future may hold, for the child. With that said, the city used the pilot funds to launch College Bound St. Paul, a CSA program starting at birth for every newborn born in the city of St. Paul. $50 is placed in the child's account, and they're able to earn bonus deposits. Families are able to deposit funds into their accounts as well. Again, that launched January 1st of 2020. We have now over 9,500 children enrolled in the program with over $1.1 million in savings. The average account size is $129, and the largest account now is over $6,500. And each of these children are just turning 3 years old. Families are so excited. We get calls and emails from mothers and fathers all across the city every week who can't wait for their child's account to be opened and for them to receive a welcome kit, and includes one of these. I'm a college-bound St. Paul. I'm a college-bound baby. Also in our work, we're really thinking about, there's a letter here from Craig Leopold, the owner of the Minnesota Wild, who's the co-chair of College Bound, who's really states, how this bill is moving from a citywide pilot to a statewide policy, that there's several learnings we believe should be held in a statewide program, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but some of them is that it should be universal enrollment eligibility, automatic enrollment with opt-out options, automatic initial deposit, ongoing investment over time, and that the accounts are safeguarded, meaning they're custodial accounts, and That way it doesn't impact, individuals' benefits and that sort of thing. And then the last part, are those local coordination grants, both the expansion and startup grants. So in closing, Mr. Chair and members, this piece of legislation would move the state of Minnesota from pilot to policy, making Minnesota the 18th state with a statewide CSA program. Let's jumpstart savings for 70,000 Minnesota babies each year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your hard work both in St. Paul. Thank you on behalf of, as a St. Paul representative, and then for your testimony and work on this too. Thank you. Is there any member of the public who wishes to testify on the bill? That's a question. Not seeing anybody, so we'll move to member discussion. I know Vice Chair Keeler had raised a question. If you're, most welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Representative. I have a question about the interest that's gained on savings. Who benefits from that? Does the interest go directly into the child savings account, or is there some sort of administrative cost that covers?
Representative Katiz-Witoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Keeler. I actually had the same question. So the family or the child gets to keep that interest. These are, though, halal-friendly accounts. So if a family is not able to utilize a savings account that garners interest, then that interest money would go back to the program and kind of continue funding other accounts.
Vice Chair Keeler.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. My next question is, it sounds like this is designed for children who stay with their same family or adults in their life. We know that we have, from my communities alone, a lot of our babies are placed in out-of-home placement. So walk me through how those transactions work. So from when a baby is born to when they go to college, if there's been, many maneuvers in their life, how do we make sure that that money would stay with that child?
Representative Katiz-Witoon, or your testifying?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll start, but then I'll allow Munir to explain a little bit more how it works in practice. But this was one of the concerns that I actually brought to Mayor Carter and the City of St. Paul when we were initially considering this pilot program. As you know, I'm a former foster parent, and so that was one of my main concerns, particularly that the money, that it be a custodial account such that the money that's there remains for the child. It can travel with the child, so it's kind of a portable benefit, if you will, and that the money can't be withdrawn for should a parent or foster parent or whomever is being able to contribute to the account, that they not have access to take that money out of the account. And I think I'll let.
Yeah, we'll back over your testifier. Mr. Karcher-Ramos, please.
Mr. Chair, Representative, so their custodial account, so the custodian would be the program administrator in the bill. And when we say they're safeguarded, it means that the child is a named beneficiary, so it follows the child, and no one else can access those funds all the way up until what we call the asset purchase, which would be the education business program, whatever it may be. So it would be under the kid's name as a beneficiary. They're the only ones who would be able to have any access to it.
Vice Chair Keeler.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. I know a lot of thought went into the design of the St. Paul program, and it's working well. I was there on that first day, actually, January 1, 2020, and it was really, really exciting. Other questions, discussion, members? Obviously, we're going to get to, maybe at this point, it does make sense to get to the amendment. Representative Hudson, if you're ready for that, if you want to do that. Yeah, Representative Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the DE amendment, DE3, obviously by virtue of being a DE, makes a radical change to the structure of the proposal. And so I want to take some time to explain the thought process behind that. So as I go through the written testimony and the materials and the bill itself, it seems as though the underlying premise of this is summarized, because it's repeated time and time again throughout the letters of testimony. It's summarized in this sentence here in the letter from the St. Paul Children's Collaborative. Research indicates that children from low-income households with savings for college of just $1 to $499 are 3 times more likely to attend college and 4 times more likely to graduate than low-income children who do not have savings accounts for higher education. Taking that correlation for granted, the premise seems to be that it is the having of the money in an account and the having of the account that has some sort of causal relationship to the kids being more likely to go to college and more likely to graduate. And what I would submit is that what we're actually seeing here is that the values, priorities, habits, and practices that exhibit themselves in seeking a savings account and making deposits into it, that those values, habits, and practices are what translate and exhibit themselves in kids being more likely to attend college and more likely to graduate. And so the idea that by just handing people an account and handing them money to put into it, that's going to translate into the same correlation and outcomes. I think especially when you're looking at a pilot program that started in 2019 and here we are less than 5 years later, it's a fairly dubious notion. And I think we can do this a lot simpler than it's currently being proposed. I mean, under this proposal, not only do we have the named intermediary youth prize that, according to one of the one sheets here, is going to be getting $570,000, over $500,000 to administer this thing. But they act as the program administrator, as opposed to the Department of Education under the original bill before the author's amendment. And they get to select a financial institution, one, that's going to hold this money. And I appreciate Vice Chair Keeler raising the issue of interest, because the interest that you earn on your account is only part of the interest that is earned on the money that is held in that account. That's how the bank makes its money. And so what this does is this ensures that on an ongoing basis, some financial institution chosen by Youth Prize is going to be making guaranteed amounts of money based on guaranteed deposits from public funds. I think we can avoid all of that. I think we can save everyone a whole lot of money, especially the state and the taxpayer, by utilizing and leveraging the existing 529 accounts, college savings accounts that already exist. And so what this amendment does, what the DE3 does, is it instructs the commissioner to make seed deposits in the same amount as this bill, $100 for a child who's eligible to participate in free and reduced lunch, $50 for other eligible children, and the eligibility requirements are similar, if not identical, to the ones that are in your bill, Representative Katiza-Watun. And really, it just simplifies the whole process, but then it goes back to that desire of seeking the account, seeking the deposit, opting in. Opt-in is buy-in, and buy-in is what I believe translates to a pattern of behavior and values that's going to improve the odds of these kids someday improving their lives by attending college and graduating. So I would hope that you would consider accepting the DE3. Thank you.
Okay, and Representative, I'm going to consider that a motion to adopt the D3 amendment to the bill. Okay. And Representative Katiza-Watun.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Hudson, for obviously a lot of thought that you put into this amendment. I like the potential of 529 connection there. I mean, gaining a little bit more interest and making sure that folks are on the right track. One of my concerns, though, is that part of the problem, excuse me, is that we know how many Minnesotans are unbanked or underbanked, and I think that due to a variety of issues, whether they be cultural, whether they be language-based, people in Minnesota, many people in Minnesota, just they have a little bit of a fear going into a bank, setting up an account. I think utilizing a 529 is kind of another step up for people who even know what a 529 is. So I think that there's a lot of financial education that needs to go into a program like this, and I think that that's one of the essential parts of the partnership with community organizations that we've included in the bill, the local partnership grants. And so I think, that's one part that's not included in your bill, but I would be happy to explore how we may alter between a savings account and an investment account. I think that is really a point well taken that could kind of potentially expand the money that the state is providing, but also that the family can provide. So I just think it's really important that we help people enter the world of banking and savings in order to really encourage them to begin. Because, even folks who are making middle income, upper middle income, life happens, right? And so you don't necessarily always take the step to open up a savings account or a 529 before it's too late. And we don't know what we don't know. And I think that it's really important that we set this kind of expectation. I think it has to do with the expectation that every child has the ability, has the potential to attend college, to attend some sort of career or technical training. And I think that really is kind of how, to see your point, like the values and the consistency in the behavior. I think that I really appreciate that. But I think that we can kickstart that by allowing everyone to participate in a program like this. So I would ask members to vote no.
Okay, thank you. And of course, we're going to give the author of the motion the last word. Representative Zalesnikar is next on the list. Representative Zalesnikar.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative. I appreciate this amendment by Representative Hudson, and the reason is I think it's important that we teach people how to take the step. I mean, banking is a part of life for all of us. Regardless where our birth starts, I mean, it is really a critical piece. When I went to the Savage, I went to look at Shakopee High School on a Friday field trip and saw, they have a bank right in the high school to teach the kids. This is something we spend in this committee hours talking about early childhood, community education. We have pathways within all of our districts to teach families and kids about a 529. And whether they're low income or lower middle class, or they need to all learn this. This is stuff that would be valuable at any bracket, because that interest and the points on the interest being made are very valuable and very valid. And I think that it gives families the flexibility that they need. It teaches children. And if you don't teach the child how to fish and the family how to fish, there is never going to be an amount of programs that we could ever ramp up to be that safety net. We want to have that, and this is a great program for Minnesota, but the federal F-29 that's been established gives us a framework for an opportunity to establish something in Minnesota that just simplifies this and has it being applied in a reasonable way. And I think having, people know people know ATMs. People know a lot of things about banking today. So I would not underestimate the ability of all people, and through our systems, through public education and community education and all those initiatives we do to teach a 529. If we want to do it, that's definitely going to happen, because we have the wherewithal to do it. And I think that this is a reasonable amendment that gives a pathway that is cleaner and is going to give the outcome that representative that brought the bill, and I thank you for bringing it. I think it has a lot of merit. I think really listening to this 529 is something that is going to give parents the flexibility they want and give the child the opportunities they need in a teaching way. So thank you. I hope you consider this. I think it's a great amendment.
Thank you, Representative Zalesnikar. It looks like the bill's author wants to respond to some comments made. Representative Katiz-Watun.
Thank you, Representative Representative Pinto and Chair Pinto. It's very early, guys. I haven't had any coffee yet. Right. Thank you, Representative Zalesnikar, for your comments. I think, one thing to consider is that for people who have never even set foot in a bank, I want to be clear, I'm not underestimating Minnesotans by any stretch of the imagination. I think that it's our job as a state to provide education, to help lift people up. But if somebody, for whatever reason, may it be cultural, maybe it be language, if they've never even set foot into a bank and we say, hey, you can set up this investment account when they don't even know what a 401k is. I can't say the data right now off the top of my head, but even the people who have access, who have a full-time job, who have an employer that's contributing to a 401k, they don't sign up for it because they don't know what it is, and they just don't take that step. So I think that an opt-in program is the wrong way to go. But I think that the flexibility in considering how we could potentially explore the difference between a savings account and an investment account is worth considering. And so, like I said, I appreciate Representative Hudson bringing this amendment. I just don't think that it's the right step at this point in time.
Okay, and back, and I guess before we go to the bill's author, I'll just remind folks, the bill itself is, to the motion's author, I should say, the bill's being laid over today, and I think regardless of what happens with the amendment, it seems like there's, continuing conversations to be had. But Representative Hudson, you get the last word on your own motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Katiza-Watun, for the forthright and robust discussion. I think you made my point. If folks lack their knowledge, the wherewithal, the cultural equipment, whatever we're saying the deficit is, that keeps them from being able to access the banking system, then merely handing them a bank account and a deposit isn't going to solve that problem. They're not going to know what to do with it after the fact. There's a big difference between handing somebody something and providing them with the motivation and the wherewithal and the discipline and commitment to see a process through. And I think the danger with the approach that your bill in its current form takes is that when parents get that sticker that says my baby is college bound, they're going to believe it. They're going to believe that having that account and having government money put in it translates to their kid going to college. And that's not true. There's a lot of things that need to be done from that point, from birth until their college age, to put them in a position to be able to succeed, to be able to be admitted, to be able to graduate. And so validating this premise that having the account and having the deposit is the reason why you're going to attend college and graduate, it's a false premise that might actually deter people from developing the values, practices, and habits necessary to set their children up for success in the future. So I would encourage members to vote for this, and I would ask for a roll call vote. Thank you.
Okay, a roll call requested. There will be one. And so with that, we've got the D3 amendment in front of us. The clerk will take the roll on the motion.
Chair Pinto?
No.
Chair Pinto votes no. Vice Chair Keeler?
No.
Vice Chair Keeler votes no. Lee Daniels?
Aye.
Lee Daniels votes yes. Representative Bliss?
Aye.
Representative Bliss votes yes. Representative Coulter?
No.
Representative Coulter votes no. Representative Davis?
Aye.
Representative Davis votes yes. Representative Hansen?
No.
Representative Hansen votes no. Representative Hemmingson Yeager?
No.
Representative Hemmingson Yeager votes no. Representative Hicks?
No.
Representative Hicks votes no. Representative Hudson?
Yes.
Representative Hudson votes yes. Representative Katiza-Watun?
No.
Representative Katiza-Watun votes no. Representative Lee? Representative Lee is excused. Representative Nelson?
Aye.
Representative Nelson votes yes. Representative Pettis-Vega is excused. Representative Zalesnikar?
Aye.
Representative Zalesnikar votes yes.
And the vote is, was it eight ayes and 6 nays? Let's hold on one moment. 6 ayes and 7 nays, and so the motion does not prevail. The bill is not amended. And so we do need to keep moving. So Lee Daniels, you get the last word before the bill's author. Lee Daniels.
Thank you, Chair Pinto. I have a lot of questions on this, but I'll try to keep it brief because I know we have 2 more bills coming.
Actually, 3.
3?
Yep, even worse.
Oh, sorry.
Or even better.
Or even better, that's true.
Yeah.
Yep, got to keep moving.
So anyway, the first point I was, maybe the author could answer, or my question, I guess, are we assuming this, I guess, what are the safeguards to protect against multiple accounts being open to a single child's identity? That was never, I don't think, in any part of the bill. So is there anything built in so they can't do a duplicate?
Let's just get, maybe Mr. Karcher-Ramos? Yeah, please.
Mr. Chair and Representative, so how we do it in St. Paul is there's a deduplication process that happens, every month, and in the legislation, it says that a account will be open for a child. So the deduplication process is looking at particularly name and birthday is sort of the first vetting, mechanism, and usually, it probably accounts for 99%, as we're able to get through name and birthday. And then the other 1% would be crosswalking it with like location, that and the information that we receive to ensure that there aren't duplications.
Thank you. Lee Daniels.
Yeah, thank you for that. In the St. Paul thing that's been going on since 2020, I believe,
January.
has there been any problems with that in the 3 years that's been going on?
Mr. Karcher-Ramos?
Mr. Chair, Representative, there hasn't been any issues with the deduplication or, duplication. No.
Thank you. Lee Daniels.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Well, I don't have much to say on the program. To be honest, I'm just kind of a personal opinion is I'm against the premise of just handing out money to see if it works or not. And $50, in my personal opinion, is not going to make a difference in a child's life. That's why I was glad with the D3 amendment that it bumped it up to $100. But I'm just against the premise, I guess, and I hate to be a downer, but I don't think this will make a difference between people actually going to college or not. I'll be voting no on the bill if it comes to the floor, and that's my reason for doing that.
Thank you, Lee Daniels. Yeah. And I think Representative Katiz-Batoon will give you the last word. And yeah, Representative Katiz-Batoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oh, there's so much more that I would like to say today, but I'm going to respect the committee's time, and I know we have a lot of work ahead of us. I will just say that the DE doesn't change the amount of money that that children are getting. It's $50 for eligible children and $100 for lower income children. That's the same as my proposal, and I look very forward to proving Representative Daniels' assumption wrong.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I think the research that backs up the St. Paul program and this as well would say that that there is good research to back up this proposal. So thank you so much for the bill, Representative Katiz-Batoon. Thank you, Mr. Karcher-Ramos and Ms. Snyder for your work. And with that, the chair lays over House File 2864 as amended for possible inclusion in our committee's budget bill.